I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth, and my soul shall make her boast in thee, Lord. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. You know I sought the Lord, and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. Amen. That is Psalms 34, verses 1 through 4. And it's a psalm of David. And David wrote that psalm when the Lord had delivered him from the hands of Abimelech, which is not a name, but a title, like the title Pharaoh. So the Lord delivered him from Abimelech, and he delivered him by David pretending to be a stark raving mad man. And I'm going to read that story to you right now. And it can be found in, I believe it's 1 Samuel chapter 21. I'm going to read the whole chapter to you. Okay? So we start off with David deceiving Ahimelech. And Ahimelech is the priest who was related to Eli. Yeah. I think he was the, maybe he was the grandson of Eli. Let me see. No, he was the great-grandson of Eli, who was a priest before, but he's gone, and now there's Ahimelech. And he's in charge of the temple. He's a priest in the temple. So David deceives Ahimelech. Then came David to Nob, to Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, because David was known to be a warrior. So he figured well, if David's coming, then it must mean my, certain death. So he was afraid. And plus David was like I say, he was a man of war. And at that time, being a man of war, you're not supposed to be in the temple because you have blood on your hands, So Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David and said unto him, Why are you alone, and no man with you? And David said unto Ahimelech, the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee, and have appointed my servants to such and such a place. So now, if you know anything about David during this time, he was running from the king. He was running from King Saul, So the king didn't appoint him to do nothing. So he just straight up lied to Ahimelech in the temple. Now therefore, what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread under my hand, but there is hollowed bread. So now the common bread was the bread that the people were allowed to eat. The hollowed bread was for the priests, and they couldn't even eat it right away. They had to wait a certain time before they could eat it. So he said there was only the hollowed bread left. So if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common. The bread is common because it's been a couple of days now, so now it is safe for the people to eat. It's safe now for us to eat because the bread is now common. It's not considered hollowed anymore because it's been like at least 3 days now. And it's time for you to get fresh bread out now to present to the Lord. So he said, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hollowed bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread, and that was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. So like I said before, they would present bread before the Lord, the showbread, and it was hot and it would stay there for like at least 3 days, and then after that it would be considered common, and they would replace it again with nice hot bread. So David was given the hollow bread, but he considered it common. Then again, he was still in his lion mode. So so the showbread was there, and it was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day. So somebody was there spying on him. So like every time you try to be sneaky, know for sure there's always somebody somewhere that knows you, and you never get to be all the way sneaky. Like if somebody's cheating and they way somewhere out and they think that nobody there is going to see them, there's usually always somebody that's out there that's like, oh, ain't that so-and-so's husband, or ain't that so-and-so's wife? And they get busted right in a place where they think they're not going to be noticed. So, but this man who was a servant of Saul saw David. And his name was Doeg. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Doeg. I could be pronouncing it wrong, but that's how I'm going to say it, Doeg. And he was an Edomite. He was the chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul. And David said unto Ahimelech, and is there not here under thine hand spear or sword? For I have neither brought my sword nor my weapons with me. Now listen, he just said that Saul sent him on a special assignment. So why wouldn't you, David, warrior David, have a sword or a spear? Why wouldn't you have nothing if Saul sent you on a special assignment? So I'm sure Ahimelech was like questioning this stuff, but he didn't say it out loud to David. The only thing he questioned was, why was David alone? He said, because the king's business required haste. That's why he didn't bring anything. Okay. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of Elah. Behold, it is here, wrapped in a cloth, behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it, for there is no other save that here. And that's it. That's all that's here, is the sword that you killed Goliath with. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And so here's where David gets busted, and he's thinking, oh, what am I going to do now because I'm busted? These men have figured me out. They've noticed me. So what am I going to do? And David laid up these words in his heart and was sore afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. And he changed his behavior before them and feigned himself to be mad in their hands. So he changed his behavior. He was like, all right, these men know who I am, so I need to figure out something to do. So let me act like crazy as a bed bug, and let's see if this works. So David changed his behavior before them, and he feigned himself mad in their hands and scrabbled on the doors. So this is the same David that slayed the giant. But he said, I'm going to be a madman before these people because I'm afraid. So he was, all the warriors in the Bible, they all had their points where they were hiding from somebody. So that was the point where they weren't trusting in the Lord. They all had their moments of weakness. And this was one of David's. So he's scrabbling the doors of the gate. So like he's like scratching on the doors. And he's spitting. He's letting the spit fall from his mouth. He's just drooling and everything. And it's falling down to his beard. And then said Achish unto his servants. So the servants brought this man, David, to the king. I forgot to tell you that part. When they noticed who he was, they brought him to the king. And he was behaving like a madman before the king because he was scared. So the king looked at his servants and the madman and was like, look, you bringing a madman before me? Like, I don't have nothing else better to do. And you don't have nothing else better to do? And you're going to bring this madman before me. I'm the king, and I got all this stuff before me. And you bring a madman before me saying, this is David. Then said Achish unto his servants, lo, you see the man is mad. This is not David. Wherefore then have you brought him to me? Have I need of madmen? I don't have enough going on? That you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? Said no. So David escaped. The Lord made a way of escape for David. And again, that's where that song comes from. Psalm 34 verses 1 through 4. And even though David lied, the Lord still had mercy it made a way of escape for him. Now, we're not going to excuse lying because that's something that we shouldn't do. But the Lord showed mercy to David, and he made a way of escape for him by giving David the bright idea to behave like a madman. And I don't know why they didn't notice his face. Maybe they've never seen him before, but the servants did. But maybe he was acting like such a madman that the king didn't even really want to look at his face, because he was probably absolutely disgusted, and he had them, send him away because he wasn't coming in his house, he said. So that's the end of that. I just love finding out where certain scriptures come from, when certain scriptures have a story behind it, and that one definitely did. David was, after the Lord made a way of escape for him, he said that those scriptures before the people that were gathered together and was listening to him, he was like so excited that the Lord made a way of escape for him, and he said, I'll bless the Lord at all times, and his praise shall continually be in my mouth, and my soul shall make her boast in the Lord, and the humble shall hear thereof and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. And I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and he delivered me from all my fears. Amen. Have a good day.